Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay. So we have a full quorum tonight. Let's want to note that we have a new member, Matt Cohn, who's not with us tonight. I'd also like to thank Steve Eisman for all his years of service on the Planning Commission. He was here, I think, for 8 years or so. All right. I need a motion to accept the agenda. Motion by Tom, second by Leah. The agenda is accepted. We have the minutes from February 15th, 2024. Has everyone had a chance to look through those? Review them? I didn't have any corrections myself. Do I have a motion to accept the minutes from February 14th? Motion by Courtney, seconded by.
I'll second.
By Leah. The minutes from February 15th, 2024 are approved. We're gonna open this up for general public comment right now. Oh, still too quiet, huh? Okay. Yep, so we're gonna open it up for public comment. Is there anything that people like to talk about that's not on the agenda? Go right ahead. Your name and address and the Social Security number. Yeah. Scott, I'll get back to you in a minute.
There we go. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. I've got a lot of points to talk about, so I know I might be going my 3 minutes, but I'll try to, I'm just going to read this so I don't miss anything. So Doug Jackson, Sylvan Township resident. So we've been hearing a lot about this ballot initiative petition circulating for signatures that challenge the Michigan Public Act 233, the Renewable Energy Siting Bill. PA 233 allows landowners who wish to lease their land to utility developers for solar or wind, and those developers to appeal to the Michigan Public Service Commission should their local communities deny their plans. So we're hearing from the proponents of this ballot initiative that PA 233 takes away local control and that the law should go to the polls for voters to decide. So I need to emphatically state my reasons not to sign this petition. And if this initiative should succeed to go to the polls, I urge you all to vote in favor of PA 233, essentially against this opposition. I can state my opinion with the authority and confidence based on thorough research behind the act and its opposition. Firstly, and with full disclosure, I know the farm family in Milan Township who helped initiate PA 233 and its current amendments with the Michigan House Representative Reggie Miller. That ballot initiative that is circulating is pushing its agenda through falsities, misinformation, deception, and deliberate withholding of the facts. So here are the facts. This ballot initiative is an outgrowth of the Our Home, Our Voice coalition. Don't believe any of the bull they are publishing. Our Home, Our Voices spokesperson is Kevin Mattis, a Lenawee County Commissioner who is being helped from the Marketing Resource Group for his messaging. This group is a PR firm representing fossil fuel companies such as Wolverine Pipeline, Mobile Pipeline, and Sunoco Pipeline. Mattis is also a senior fellow at the Energy and Environmental Legal Initiative, which receives backing from coal companies and which has historically worked with the Koch Industries funded ALEC on campaigns to fight wind projects. Our Home, Our Voices main message is that PA 233 takes away local control on renewable energy projects and allows utilities to push farmers off their land. Now, I read all of this right off of their website. Neither of these arguments could be further from the truth. My farmer friends in Milan have been wanting to lease their acreage to a solar development due to the same financial stresses we hear from our own local farmers. A minority of far right-wing radicals in their township opposed this development and successfully campaigned through disinformation, fear-mongering, and bullying to have not only the township turn down the development by changing their ordinances to unreasonable standards, but by recalling and replacing all the township officials who voted in favor of the solar project with other like-minded right-wing radicals. Now, not only have my friends' property rights been stripped from them, they have had their names dragged through the mud, and township governance has become ugly and divisive. PA 233, with its latest amendments, allows an avenue for them to restore their property rights and to have hope that they can save their farmland with a solar farm. Here are a few facts about PA 233 published from the University of Michigan. Okay. Public Act 233, it was signed by the governor in November 2023, makes significant changes to the permitting process for utility scale renewable energy facilities, including solar, wind, and battery energy storage. The act creates an option for developers to go directly to the Michigan Public Service Commission to construct a utility scale renewable energy facility if each affected local unit of government does not have a compatible renewable energy ordinance called a CREO. In communities where local units of government have adopted a CREO, which is defined as being no more restrictive than the provisions outlined in the Act, the developer must first have its proposed project review at the local level. If the project is denied by any of the local units of government, then the developer may submit an application to the MPSC. The law will take effect in November 2024. It also states the new permitting process laid out in PA 233 solely applies to wind, solar, and energy storage projects above the capacity size thresholds listed in the Act. So that would be 50 megawatts for solar, 100 megawatts for wind, and 50 megawatts for battery storage. So any projects smaller than those, that would be smaller than 500 acres, would be totally under local control, and this act would not apply to those projects. And I'd like to just read, as briefly as I can, the letter directly from the Representative Miller. Now, she said she would not have voted for this act without making her amendments, which were passed. And she said that this act now protects personal property rights. Private landowners should be allowed to have their land to use their land as they see fit within reason. It reduces electric bills, creates good-paying local jobs, creates investments and provides benefits for local communities, creates opportunity for job programs. The megawatt payment puts money back into the local municipality, basically $2,000 per megawatt. Helps Michigan meet clean energy goals, helps Michigan and the United States achieve energy independence. And now she says, this legislation does not take away local government control. She said, I successfully amend this legislation the opportunity at the front end to develop their own ordinances instead of going to the state automatically. Her amendment protects the process for local control by doing the following, and then she lists 6 bullet points. Her amendment fosters cooperation between township and developers. Her amendment keeps developers competitive by giving power to local townships in the decision-making process. This bill package has been amended to include compensation for local governments. The legislation does not take away farmland for food. And the legislation does not allow for eminent domain or condemnation. Only landowners who want to lease their land for new energy projects will be considered. And in the fact, the bills were amended to specifically forbid the use of eminent domain or condemnation for these projects. And the legislation does not mandate new energy projects either. So with these facts, again, I urge you to support 233, not sign the petition if you haven't already, or at least defeat any effort to override this bill from going through, because it protects property rights.
Is there anyone else that would have comments they'd like to add at this point? Okay, we're going to close public comment. Scott, you wanted to make a few statements earlier on.
Yeah. So I am the planning consultant and planning person and zoning administrator. Unfortunately, I got really sick right before the meeting. And that is why I'm not there. What I want to do is to the planning commissioners, because there is only 5 of you there tonight. If you are going to act on any of the projects tonight, you may want to offer the applicants the option of you tabling the discussion to another meeting where there's more planning commissioners, if you choose to do that. You don't have to, you do have a quorum, but you would need to get majority of votes for the approval, so 4 votes. Or the denial of the project, so, or recommendation. Oh, all right, I gotta log it off.
Well, he doesn't sound like he's doing very well. Okay, so with that said, there is only 5, so I guess I'd like to thank Scott for pointing that out. But we'll move on to the first the new business tonight, and it's a public hearing to consider zoning map amendment, ZMA 2401 to rezone the property at 20490 North M52 from local commercial to general commercial. So I'd like the applicant, if they're here tonight, if they'd like to come up and make any statements. I think it's Mr. Vogel. Yes.
Hi, I'm Jeff Vogel, owner of Vogel's Party Store. The rezoning classification for residential commercial to general commercial is to update the status of the Vogel's Party Store parcel and has little to no impact on the surrounding community. Historically speaking, this was all farmland and there was no commercial shopping nor product services north of what was then the village of Chelsea. I was very young, but believe the parcel we are discussing was originally zoned agriculture. Then, when the convenience store was proposed and built, a new classification was created and called residential commercial to facilitate the parcels currently used. With Chelsea now being a city and expanding to the north, I believe it's appropriate to update the zoning classification to general commercial to correlate with future use of the site. Although the Vogel family, has operated as a grocery party convenience store, the parcel is being utilized to its full proportion as it is attached to State Highway 52, and the traffic counts have increased dramatically over the last 5 decades. Examples of the potential and likely future improvements include more modern, updated, enhanced convenience store, maybe another retail or office building. Hopefully, whatever it will increase the tax base of the property. Thank you.
Okay. No, you're fine, whatever you. So is there any other like public comment for the community that they would have on this project? As is proposed? Patrick? Sure.
Um, to me, this kind of dovetails in with the other comments that we heard from another resident about property rights. And I think that that should be paramount here, assuming that the business owner is not going to do anything that harms the neighbors or anything like that. I don't know that for a fact, but stuff that he mentioned sounds reasonable for the area. So I'm generally feel like I should support it. And I want to express that support. Even though technically, if you look at the master plan has this slated for future land use, local commercial, which it is now. And it says that the only compatible zoning district is local commercial. So the master plan would seem to indicate that it should say where it is. But in spite of that, I think that given the nature of what they're trying to do and the location that they're in, it should be approved. So I'm supporting it anyway. And I hope that the other two applications before you tonight are treated in a similar positive vein. Thank you.
Okay, is there any other public comment regarding this project? Okay, I'm going to close public hearing. So for the planning commission members, we've got a very detailed report that was provided by Scott Pacheco, who's not here tonight. A couple of things I'd like to, if you look on, I believe it's page 2 of the document. If you look and you'll see the green and the red, right? And these are the permitted uses, right? So these are kind of important things, right? So in general commercial, additional business types that you can allow, there are alcohol and entertainment, funeral homes, hotel, tourist homes, rental equipment, lots for used car sales and machinery, service station and outdoor storage and sale of lumber related type business. So there's additional uses that go with the land that currently are not available in the local commercial area. And as Patrick pointed out, the master plans, the future land use is local commercial. And it is surrounded by agricultural properties. So really the question is, I think as we go through the standards of review, we also have to remember the objectives of the master plan is to preserve the rural character of the township. So those are the underlying principles. So, Scott, I was looking through your report. Are you back on?
Yeah, I can answer some questions if you have them.
Yeah, no. So the standards reviews, I've got 5 of them, but I was looking through your report and I thought I had written them down, but I'm not seeing them. Do you see them in your copy there?
So the standards for review for a zoning amendment, you don't currently have any in your code.
Okay.
So what I did is best practices, and some of the items that you look at when you look at these is one, the future land use
All right.
plan.
Okay.
And I wrote down the thoughts on the future land use plan. If you do decide to move forward with it, the reasoning would be that something has changed, since the future land use map was created, or the thoughts of the community have changed since the
Okay.
Has been
I've got-
created. And the other best practice for zoning text amendments is preserving and protecting the health, safety, and welfare of the community.
Okay, so I've got those written down, so we'll try to walk through those standards and just, let everyone has some thoughts about it.
All right.
So the first one is preserve the rural character, right? And that's it. And that was pretty well laid out in your staff report, my thoughts. So I thank you for putting that out there. You focus future growth on the development of of areas where utility infrastructure is available and maintains rural agriculture character of the remainder of the township. Um, so Clearly, we don't have utility infrastructure in place. And this wouldn't, given the additional types of uses, it would run counter to other agricultural use in the township. The second one is promote the limited development of commercial uses in appropriate locations of the township to serve everyday needs of the residents. And I think that's something Mr. Vogel hit on is, yeah, there probably is a growing need out there, just based upon the traffic volumes, right? And then the third one is to provide adequate infrastructure to safely, effectively, and efficiently service township residents. And not sure how this would, this point makes such an impact, but yeah. And then the last point is develop an effective, efficient sanitary sewer system, water system to serve appropriate areas of the township, and clearly that's not the case. So I don't know, Tom, based upon these criteria, I'm wondering what your thoughts are.
Thoughts are, as much as I hate, it's when this, we're talking ag, and ag out that way, you might as well rule out there hardly is any. Between you going out there, Weber's is a little bit on the corner of 52, but that's very minute. And you have the funeral home there, and if someone comes up to Mr. Shanahan, he would be probably wanting to get rid of it
Mhm.
in there. And some of this with how the wetlands go in there and whatnot, I don't know how much more he can put there as a department or store or whatever somebody wants to do.
Mhm. Okay.
And there's such a big gap in between the subdivision in there with the wetlands and Robin Hills. It's isolated right there to where, what is it?
Okay.
And everything, they owned it for 40 years, plus there was a party store when I was younger, was there, I think it was Rickman's or something like that. And it could be updated too. If somebody wanted to do it down the road, or Jeff might want to do it, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I don't see it's big enough with the setbacks and stuff. Are we gonna put a great big building there? Or
I think it's 3.3 acres, right?
Hmm.
Pardon? 2.9. I think the report showed it 3 something.
you would have talked to the chair.
Pardon? We closed public hearing, but, I'll make exception of reopen public hearing if you'd like to make a comment, Mr. Merkel.
The idea of the site plan and future development. Any site plan that's been brought before the committee in the future, certainly would have to comply with all the setbacks. And with US Highway 52, the creek and the setbacks, there certainly could be some changes in the structure, some improvements, but of that 3.3 acres, I mean, there's gonna be a certain percentage of that property that would not, create encroachments along the highway system and or the creek. So there is room for improvement and expansion, but it's, I think to Tom's point, if I understood correctly, it's not gonna be a high-rise structure, office building. It's gonna be something along the similar lines of what it is, just more current.
Yeah.
We don't have sewer and water right there as its presence,
Right.
and is it feasible to run just out there for that 3 acres?
Right, or would the septic system have to be updated to
Right.
accommodate for the number of toilets and flushes?
That's way out of our hands there, so
Okay.
out there by itself.
Okay.
And we also had a wetlands, survey assessment, done for that too, so I know they put a bunch of flags and we went out there, it was really cold to look at it. But I do know that coming toward the city of Chelsea to the south, there is, I'm gonna roughly say 150, 180 feet could be used that would not be within the areas for either the power company easement and or the highway setback. 20 feet, 60 either side of center. So, but that's about it, as the rest of the site. You're just not gonna have you can improve the building, you can do some improvements, but you're not gonna have a large development. That's never, because of the stream and the. That was my judgment.
Okay, well, thank you. All right, I'm gonna close public comment again. Courtney, your thoughts?
Joseph,
My thoughts were similar to Tom's in that there really doesn't seem to be the space for anything significantly different. This might allow for some improvements or things that need to happen, but there are limitations just based on what's available. And with it to be consistent with what's already out there, I don't see a real problem with changing it.
Sandy, your thoughts?
I agree with Courtney.
Courtney?
I agree.
So Leah,
mean,
you're in
we have
agreement
nothing
too?
like-
Okay,
We need probably more and more is gonna build out that way probably eventually.
okay. So it's a general consensus that the majority of planning commissioners are in favor of adapting this change from LC to GC. Okay, so we need to do an example. Go ahead, Scott.
Hi, I have a quick, on those the example motions that I gave to you, it
Yep.
should say motion to recommend approval of the proposed zoning text amendment, because these zoning text amendments, or the zoning map amendment, the zoning map amendment has to go to the township board for final approval.
All right, can you restate that just so I get it right?
Yeah, so in both my motions, that the example motions, I said the planning commission motion to approve the proposed zoning map amendment. It should say the planning commission motion to recommend approval of the proposed zoning map amendment.
All right,
That's it.
okay. No, that's fine. I hate to come back for technicality, right? Well, I'm gonna make a motion, then we'll vote on it, okay? But I'm gonna read it off what's been prepared for us because it's done really well, okay? Okay. So the planning commission motion to recommend the proposed zoning map amendment to rezone the property at 20490 M52 from local commercial to general commercial, because as discussed at tonight's planning commission meeting and as presented in the planning commission staff report, although the rezoning would not fully comply with the future land use map in the 2017 master plan, there are circumstances have occurred since the approval of the 2017 master plan that have changed the area. Also, the proposal would comply with some of the goals and objectives of the 2017 master plan, and the project would not have an impact on the public health, safety, or welfare of the community. We'll do a roll call vote. Tom?
Yes.
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 Courtney?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
Leah?
Yes.
Mike, yes, so. Okay, so the motion passes. Okay. Okay. Item number 2 is a special use permit to allow a towing business and impound yard use at the vacant parcel F 0622-100-007 in the industrial zoning district. Is there anyone here tonight that would like to speak to that? Are you Mr. Kern, I take it? Yeah, can you step up to the? Oh, that's all right.
Fireman, and I didn't expect that to go off. I don't know where to begin with it. It's been a lengthy project. I own Manchester Collision and Towing down in Manchester. I've owned it for 29 years now. 3 years ago, Metro Dispatch, who dispatches state police in Washington County Sheriff, canceled or did not renew contracts with two towing vendors up in this area. And the area was split between my area in Manchester and Don's Body Shop in Whitmore Lake covers the north end. So by default, I'm basically up here. Now, 20 years ago, I did attempt to come up here and had a battle, and I was quite content.
Mr. Kern, can I interrupt you for 1 minute? Mr. Pacheco's got his hand up. I'm not sure if
Okay.
we missed something here. Scott, did you something you wanted to add?
No. Have me present to you guys the project a little bit. All right. Thanks. Did you hear that?
Not clearly.
After the applicant is done speaking, you can have, I'm feeling I'm not in the same position that I was earlier,
Okay.
so you can have me present the project to you guys if you want.
Okay, no, thank you. Okay, sorry, Mr. Kern, go ahead.
And, I don't know how much back you want or you don't want. So I'm just trying to, how I got to where I'm at today. So we are covering the area for Chelsea Police, State Police, Washington County Sheriff. And as of right now, we're doing it from the Manchester. We have two locations, one in Manchester, one in Saline. So everything is coming out of Manchester and then going back to Manchester. I make light of the fact that we do charge mileage. So to come up here will, be cutting our revenue. However, I think to cover the area appropriately, that's what needs to be done. Our response time is expected 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to be 20 to 25 minutes. That's what's required of us. Also, when car owners want to come get belongings out of it or pick up their car or whatever it is, I do apologize for them. I'm sorry you have to drive to Manchester. Yes, I know you're on I-94, but so I looked at some property of Kalmbach's and attempted to do some rezoning. That didn't go well with the general public that was near that area, I guess. So now we are over, Mr. Bloom has a parcel that's, has the zoning that's appropriate currently for the towing. I think it's the outdoor storage. It really needs a conditional use permit. So, where it's at, the freeways to the back side of it and Old 12's on the north side of it. So I think it's a good fit, but of course, that's my viewpoint. It's an investment. I'm not trying to, I want something nice. I've obviously been in business 29 years. I'm not jumping in and jumping out. I think we got a good reputation for providing a good service, and I want to build a good building that's an investment that, someday that's, it needs to be an investment of mine. I hope it pays off for me long term. So I'm not going to throw up something that isn't aesthetically pleasing. We're going to try to do something that's right and fits in.
What's the size of your service area? I didn't quite catch that.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Your service area?
6 townships. So we start Manchester, Bridgewater, Sharon, Freedom, Sylvan, Lima. Sorry, I gotta do that to keep track.
Okay.
So we cover 12 miles of I-94 as well as just north of. We also do Chelsea Police Department exclusively, so the city also.
Okay. Does anyone got any other high level questions from Mr. Kearns? No? Okay. Does the public have any questions? Your name, ma'am, if you'd like to come up and announce your name.
Is it your car that we towed? Was it you that we towed across the street? Okay, somebody said that. My neighbor did.
This is still our neighborhood, even though we're far down the road. You say we'll make it aesthetically pleasing. I'm hoping that you do. In my head, I've not been to your location in Manchester, but I know people who have.
But in my head, I see that junkyard on your way to Milan, along 23 when you go down there. That's not what we're talking
Correct.
because even though it's next to the highway, even though it's not in a neighborhood, the expectation is that it will still be pleasing to Chelsea.
You know, we've been pretty extensive with a darn narrow site plan, but if you look at anything that, and Ted Hirsch from Midwest Consulting is here with all kinds of initial conceptual drawings of a steel building is what, or red steel, whatever they call those. It's not a pole barn. It's not any of that sort of stuff. We also hired his recommendation for an architect that does some pretty nice different facades or different materials than just barn siding.
That's comforting to
Yeah,
the
yes.
people on the highway.
And as I said, I truly want to build something nice. I'm not, towing isn't the whole part of it, that it's an investment. I'm gonna spend a lot of money trying to put a building there and I want it to be nice. So, and
Address that, I don't know.
we talked about some of this, and stop me whenever I'm answering, if I shouldn't be answering questions. Because we attempted to do something with Calmbox property. We did some analyzing of what we have. So currently we're doing it with 2 yards. Right now, I thought on the way up that question might come out, and my wife's in the audience that I should have, she actually does a little more of the management. We both believe we might have 10 cars in Saline and 10 cars in Manchester. That's what we probably got right now. We think during the winter, it could have been 20 to 30. I think I don't think we could hold 30 in a Manchester lot, but it could have been 20. I think we have 30 spaces allocated, if I remember, 30 to 33. Ted, is that parking spots? Okay. We haven't hit that. Ever. My wife's saying no. I would agree with no. And I said, I don't really want to stand up here and speak ill truths. I want to be 100% accurate. I certainly don't believe so. I think the highest this winter, 20, maybe 25, if that. We're not in the habit. We don't park cars out. We don't sell parts. We don't sell cars. We tow them, store them for the insurance or for safekeeping or till they go to a body shop. A majority of our business is never done at the yard. There was a lot of concerns about that. I think 10% of our business perhaps may come back, and that's a pretty accurate number, in a month's time, may come back to the yard. The other 90% out, we told one of your neighbor's cars, we picked it up at her house and we took it to the dealership. A lot of what we do isn't even done at that yard with bringing vehicles back.
I have to record this verbatim and I can hear you. Microphone.
Come on up with me. Come on.
Will there be a large fence?
What we have planned is what's required from us through Metro Dispatch for the police lot. They want a 6-foot fence. So we've been playing with we'd like something up front, a little more aesthetically, either some stones, some type of privacy fence on the north part. Certainly on the east and south chain link, and on the west, I'm playing with what to do with there. That'll be to my neighbor, the barn. You're welcome.
Yeah, can you come up to the microphone, please, and speak?
Good, I was getting lonely up here. Come on up.
I wondered, will you be bringing tractor trailer rigs that get smashed up into that area?
Can we have your name, please?
Roger, Roger Hayman, Hayman, Pierce Road.
As they happen, yes. We had 2 last January, I think. As the crash happens, yes, it's possible it will come back to our yard. A tractor trailer will. We had the one at M5294, I think January last year. We brought back two probably, two tractor trailers. Typically they get processed and they're gone. They could be there 2 to 4 weeks, depending on what's going on. But yes, it's certainly we do some of that.
Yeah, I know,
Uh,
a lot of.
okay.
Yeah,
Well.
very expensive.
I'd like a lot. We do some, I think. Truck wrecks a year. Do we do 6 a year? Is it good? Pardon? Anyway, we've been up here for 3 years, so we got a feel for it a little bit, but on the way up here, we had a report of a semi off at Kalmbach eastbound, but it wasn't there. You're welcome.
Scott mentioned also, sorry, Scott mentioned also the health, safety and welfare of the community. That would be in your project as well. Since you're so close to the water tower.
Well, yeah, I,
Sounds like that.
one of the statistics I threw out as to the need up here, I spoke of, I brought fuel up to a woman around midnight. I was upset I was going out and I'm the only one that works hard and, you know, could feel all that pity for myself. And she'd run out of fuel at eastbound just before 52. And I got out there and pulled behind her and get out and she has like a 3-year-old in the back seat. And you know what? I really felt good about my job, that I was glad I could help her. But is that not important to get somebody there in a timely fashion? A report I read 5, 6 years ago. I do a lot with the Towing State Association. I do some teaching. I've been fired for 27 years, but 50% of fatalities on the freeways are from secondary incidents. So the longer it takes me to get up there to clear that incident, people are getting killed also. I'm not up here soapboxing, but we have a right, we have a duty to get these roads open back up and get traffic flowing. 1, just for general commerce, 2, for safety. So, you know, you talk about health and safety. Break down on the side of the road and see how comfortable you are. Hey, that's that fun. You'd probably like me out there right away. So,
Are you going to be taking down the building that's currently there?
nope, wrong parcel.
Parcel?
Yeah, this parcel's empty, thank goodness.
Okay.
I'm thinking it's the pole barn. That would be, yes, I know, I
So
think,
Which one, where is it in relation to that pole barn?
just east. Our properties would be next to each other.
Then there's that hill that goes up.
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
I know where it is.
Yeah.
I just thought it was all together.
no, yeah, I know the parcel you're talking about. We'll leave it. I don't want that either. Is that politically correct? You're welcome.
Sure, go ahead, Doug.
I just have a question. I used to work doing accident research and would visit many tow yards and vehicles there and would find puddles of automotive fluids, gasoline, oil, transmission fluids and such on the ground. What environmental protections will you ensure that you have, considering where the aquifer is right there where the water tower is?
Well, we're gonna do our best that if there's anything leaking, that we're gonna contain it, either through pools, dikes, whatever it may be. I don't think that we bring back very many that are still leaking to our yard. I won't debate that point with you, but if there's anything visible, we're certainly gonna put down the blotters for it or whatever it is and keep that out of the groundwork. Again, it's an investment for me. I'm buying a property, I'm gonna own it for the lifetime, so it's not my intent to let it get contaminated.
Have you been involved with many of the electric vehicle accidents and dealt with the electrical battery?
Oh, that's a hot
discharges?
topic, isn't it? Semi-load of EV batteries this spring. My memory time length isn't right. And was it January also? January is a hot month for them. So that one that rolled over at 52 and 94 was full of EV batteries going for LG owned them, going from one to the other.
Mhm.
Being a fireman for 27 years, I'm a captain, I'm a training officer. That's the buzzword. It really is what we're gonna do with them, how we're gonna handle them. Do we work with a company called ESA, Energy Security Agency? It sounds federal. It's not. It's private enterprise, but when we are on one, they are involved to advise us on how best to handle these and what to do with them. And God, there's a gamut of them. You know, that one that was up there, you know, they wanted the fire to use a 4-gas monitor the entire time we're there, also a thermal imaging camera, to verify that nothing was going on chemically, start a fire. We try to stay up on it the best we can and figure out what to do with them.
Yeah, so would you anticipate having, I would assume that you would have electric vehicles in your tow yard that potentially have been involved in accidents?
Certainly possible, you know, at this point, our general rule of thumb, and it seems to be in the industry, is we're giving them space. You know, we're not putting them next to other things. You know, Chelsea Fire really is excited what to do with Chelsea Proving Grounds. Chelsea Fire District, I think, is being taxed with protecting that facility for fire, and they have a whole bunch of them. And we're monitoring how they do them.
Yeah, I guess, but theirs haven't been typically involved in accidents and disturbed, right? So.
Well, catching fire for whatever reason. We've had Manchester Fire, Manchester Towing, Chelsea Fire, Dexter, and Sile. We've had a couple meetings. When we get one on a freeway, what are we going to do? You know, so there's been lots of discussions on how to move them, relocate them. Storage falls on us towers, but we're still talking on what to do with it for the motoring public. Dexter had the house fire, where, if everybody read that one, where they drug the 2 of them out. So that, you know, they're the heroes, where they drug 2 of them out of the house that were on fire.
Right.
So,
What sort of toxic fumes come off from an electric vehicle fire?
you want me to know that, huh?
Oh, I'm just,
I can't say that.
I know, because I mean, there's people that still live in the neighborhood, right? So.
Yeah, and just as a fireman standpoint, I really feel the car industry's pretty regulated, and there's a lot of safety things that are involved. I'm more concerned about the scooters and the go-peds and the wheelchairs. Ann Arbor City Fire had the wheelchair fire, from electric battery.
From the smaller ones.
7-story or something. You know, those aren't regulated, and there's different brands of batteries being imported, chargers are being swapped. As a fireman, I'm more concerned about those than I am cars, but.
Yeah, but I'm worried about a neighbor. If he wakes up in the morning, there's a electric battery burning right next to his residence, right?
Yeah.
You know, what sort of toxicity are we exposing them to? Because there is a residential house, I believe, very close. There are 2 of them, right?
One
Well,
to the east,
yeah,
yes.
one east, one west. so.
which is, I think, it's residential and industrial zoning, but.
Yeah, no, I mean, they were there before the
You
zone,
should
so.
Maybe realize where he's at, I don't know. But no different than on the freeway, I'm thinking, you know, we're learning as we go.
Okay, no, that's fine. I
Save
was,
the world.
yeah. But just in regards to the toxicity of a battery fire, you're not sure what chemicals are in there. Is that a fair statement?
I don't want to stand up here and say, I mean, I think that's Chelsea Fire covers that area, and I
Yeah.
think it'd be a Chelsea Fire.
No, I just was curious from an industry perspective, if you had any background on it.
No, I don't
Okay.
pretend that I do.
Okay, no, that's fine. I appreciate it. Okay. Is there any other public comment? From the back again, sir?
Roger Heyman, Pierce Road. My understanding that electric cars that get caught on fire, the fire department takes them somewhere, or the tow yard takes them somewhere, and there's a pad that needs to be put on them so that it'll keep them from reigniting again. Is that something the fire department puts on or you put on?
And no, there's none of that going on that I've seen yet. You'll hear all kinds of stories out there, and you'll hear the stories in California. They're submerged, they're putting them in tanks, sea containers full of water. How much of that's true out there, I don't know. Back here, no. Fire decides when it's safe to move. Once it's safe to move, it goes to the tower.
Okay,
Next township over's putting covers on them, volunteer firemen told me.
They will to extinguish the fire. There's fire blankets
Yeah,
that
blanket,
they attempt to snuff out the fire.
yeah,
And
yeah,
actually they're letting them burn while they're covered up.
right. They said they need to put it on it after it gets to the tow yard, so it won't start up again
Mm,
half a day later or something.
no, I disagree with that.
Okay.
Okay, is there any other public comment that someone would like to? Patrick?
Just a small question following up on one of the first questions about the number of vehicles that would be there.
Yes.
If you have right now 10 vehicles at your other 2 towing yards, this would add a 3rd towing yard. Would that tend to balance the number between the 3 so that they might have like 6 each or something or?
Yes, exactly.
So
You
so all
get
of
that.
them will have a lower volume than the 2 would have individually right now.
Correct. We're covering the area with 2 yards. We're gonna add a 3rd. So yes. Although this is a fairly busier section of than Manchester is, I'll say that. We have one in Saline. Saline's pretty busy too, but I would suspect this would have 60, Manchester would have 40, percentage of those.
Is there any other questions from the public? Okay, Mr. Kern, I'm sure we may have more questions for you, but I'm going to close the public hearing. Scott, I think you've been patiently waiting for your input.
Yeah, that was a long time and I'm turning a little bit, but I will try to get through this.
Okay.
All right, so what is in front of you tonight is a special use permit application for the use of the site as a tow yard use. They were required to submit a draft site plan. They have not officially submitted for preliminary or final site plan review yet. When they originally had submitted, I asked for a few additional items like landscaping and lighting, because I thought that would be some items that may come up in your review of the standards. So as you can see on my staff report, the first thing is to talks about the use of the project and the zoning district that it's located in. And my belief is that the industrial zoning district would be the appropriate location for a tow yard, as long as a special use permit approval is granted by the planning commissioners. So once you get past that, then there's the special use permit standards, which are listed on page 3 through 6 of your staff report tonight. Some of the items that come up during this review, there's like item number 2, the proposed SUB will be compatible with the natural environment and existing and future land uses in the vicinity. That's going to give you the ability to look at the existing residential use to the east and say, is this an appropriate use to be next to that, compatible with that type of use? And if you read through my staff report, there's some conditions that may be appropriate if you do decide that it is an appropriate use. Conditions such as different masonry wall instead of a chain link fence, additional landscape screening from both the highway and the neighbor to the east. And then you have standard number 3, which it goes, the proposed SUP will be compatible with the comprehensive plan. When it says comprehensive plan, it's referring to the master plan document. So at that point, you have to look at what the future land use designation is and what it says in the future land use maps or in the future land use sections. I detailed what the existing code says. The future land use designation currently on the map is for mixed use development and automobile service stations, heavy automobile repair are not compatible with the MU category. So this might be a reason that you could find if you're concerned. However, under the wording of the future land use designation, it states that these lots are appropriate for industrial uses. So it's what it says directly is, it should be saying the planning and industrial uses designation should encompass. It says the vacant land on the south side of old US 12, west of the water tower treatment plant, and the previous sentence said the area planned for industrial land uses designated should encompass existing and future industrial uses in that area. So because there's those two sections of the master plan, it allows the planning commission a lot of flexibility there. And then there's the item 4, which the proposed SUP will be served adequately by essential. Is this the one that I'm looking for? No, not that one. The number 5, which is the proposed special use permit will not be detrimental, hazardous, or disturbing to the existing or future neighbors, uses, persons, property, or public welfare. So that comes into the questions about that Mike is bringing up about fires at the site, anything that off hauls on the site. Also, detrimental could be the visible impacts that of looking at these. Like some people brought up the storage of some of the vehicles that were in accidents. One suggested condition that I didn't put into my report that you may want to consider is to require some sort of time frame that they can store a vehicle on the site so that they don't have a junkyard. But instead it's a tow yard use where they come in, they do the paperwork, and then they ship the cars to wherever they need to go. If the person doesn't come to pick them up, I'm guessing they sell them to auction or something else. But there's a turnaround on a tow yard, where in a junkyard, they just place them out there and then they never leave. So that might be something that the planning commission wants to consider to meet those standards. Otherwise, you've read my staff reports. On this item, the special use permit is approved by the planning commission. So if you do make a motion to approve the project or deny the project, I would suggest doing so. And I made a written, you don't have to sign the motion. What you could do is we could put together a memorialization of finding and bring it to the next meeting also. So based on your discussion at tonight's meeting.
Could you repeat that last point, Scott?
So if you approve or deny this, I put in 2 motions that you would sign. But what you might want to do is state the motion with the conditions and then say at the next meeting, the planning department staff will bring back a memorialization of findings that memorializes our motion, approval or denial. I don't know which one you're going to do. So
Okay, yeah, there's a lot here, and I've got some other ones that I may want to add in also. So
yeah, and I'm gonna shut my thing off real quick. Bye.
Did he have to leave again?
Yeah.
All right. Well, we got. All right. So, fellow commissioners, let's go through our standards of review. So they start on page number 4. And Scott did a really nice job on this report, so I just wanted
He
to
did.
note that, right? And so the first one, it says the proposed SUP will be harmonious and in accordance with the objectives, intent, purposes, and regulations of this chapter. The industrial district is intended to provide area for limited manufacturing and non-manufacturing industrial operations of facilities and wholesale and warehouse operations, wherein storage of products or equipment and wholesales thereof are the principal use of the buildings. And his comment was, a vehicle tow yard appears to be used, a use that would be most similar in nature to that of the industrial zoning district. Tom, you in concurrence with that, or?
I sort of agree with that. Yes, with that one.
Courtney,
I agree with that one also.
Leah?
Agree.
Yeah. Sandy? Okay. Number two, the proposed SUP will be compatible with the natural environment and existing and future land uses in the vicinity. It's compatible, that favors granting it. And the subject site is in the industrial zoning district, is bordered by Old 12 to the north and 94 to the south. Property directly east and west subject site are zoned industrial, with property to the east currently being used as residential, and their property to the west is being used as industrial. So this is, I guess the one is, I don't think any of the neighbors are here tonight, are they? The residentials? Have you talked, Mr. Kern, have you talked to the neighbors next door at all? The residential?
For the most part, no. I mentioned we told one and the woman was across the street, and it wasn't me, it was one of my drivers. My son did talk to the landowner in the house
Okay,
and just told him what we were doing. My son was clearing some property that Tom Bloom owns on both sides of that house.
yeah,
So we had some conversation and my son talked to him and and asked him, hey, would you be willing to sell that? If it wasn't a residence here, I think it might be a smoother
right.
situation. And evidently he's older and he says at this point, no, I think I'll just remain here.
Okay. I mean, so this is the compatibility. I mean, I realize it's an industrial zone, but these residential homes were there first, right?
Mhm.
You know, so that's been kind of morphed over time, and I'm always, concerned about the residents, particularly an elderly person that probably doesn't have a lot of financial resources. And so I guess with number two, I'm torn on that one, right? Tom?
Residents been there a long time, but if they're gonna sell those places, odds are that it isn't gonna be residential anymore.
No, understand that.
How I'm looking at it, so. Yes, if the neighbors aren't here and wrote a letter saying they didn't like the idea, yes, I'm for. Yes,
Okay. Courtney? Your thoughts?
I'm thinking it would be good to know what the people living there thought. Obviously, to the west, it makes sense. It's fairly consistent. So I don't think them not being here is enough for me to not support, but I would like to, in general, understand
Right.
where they're at.
Yeah, I mean, it's Leah, your thoughts on that point?
I guess I agree with Tom on it,
Okay.
because eventually they'll probably be selling to somebody that.
Yeah.
Industry, commercial.
Sandy, your thoughts?
I agree with Tom as well. Besides the, excuse me, the facility is going to be fenced and these, after the plans that we were given, it looks like there's going to be as much vegetation.
I don't know if you guys, this has been turned towards them guys, but you might be able to see what it looks like too.
I think having a vegetative fence in addition to whatever is decided to put in there will make a huge difference
The nice.
in a positive way.
That's the building, that's not the yard.
I was gonna clarify that too, that
Right.
yes, it doesn't talk to the screening as far as vegetation, but there is a vegetation, help me Ted, plan in the
Yes.
packet.
Yeah, it's, sure, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Could I ask you to come up and speak?
He was trying to avoid not coming up.
Uh-huh.
Good, thank you.
These plans that show up.
Happy to come up. Sorry about that. Ted Hirsch, I'm with Midwestern Consulting and worked with Mr. Kearns here to put these plans together and kind of develop a good scheme to try to address some of these issues, and screening being one of them. And at Scott's kind of direction and request for some of that supplemental information, we did provide a landscape plan that looked to provide some of those things along the east and west property lines in terms of additional screening. I would also point out that I can't remember who exactly, which of the commissioners it was that pointed out there's a large hill on the east side of the property, and there's as much as probably 20 to 25 feet of elevation difference between where that house sits and where the storage yard is going to sit. So there's going to be a significant elevation change. There's going to be a retaining wall on the outside of the storage yard, the fencing. So there's kind of a number of things that are kind of contributing to that that screening and buffering from that residential use. And I think to some of the good points that commissioners made, that you know, I think that that particular criteria talked about compatibility with existing and future lane uses, right? And if I'm not mistaken, the future lane use would be in industrial as designated in the master plan.
It's conflicting.
Okay.
It's something we have to clean out, but I mean, if you look at the use there, it is fairly much industrial at this point, so. Yeah, go ahead, Tom.
Question. That site on 94 there, I guess. Sitting here thinking, are we gonna be able to drive by 94, be able to look down in there and see a bunch of stuff or not? I go, that's one of my concerns. Are we gonna see, drive by on the backside there, a mess?
So there is existing vegetation along the south property line, and I think we're keeping I think a 30-foot buffer from the property line to where we're actually performing or proposing to perform grading activities that will wipe out any of that vegetation. So we're trying to keep everything that we can along that south property line.
Yeah, but I think the point is, and I agree with Tom, from a 94 view perspective and along the neighbors, I don't want to be seeing any vehicles, right?
Right.
I would not, I mean, that would be a condition that this is not visible from the road.
Right.
I mean, that would, I think that's what you're thinking too, Tom, right? So we'll get to that, but
Some of this, when I get on 94 headed westbound from 52, there certainly is a yard there that has awful bright lights that I just think is appealing to me.
Yep, no,
I'm not picking on that person.
no,
I don't like that. So I certainly hope that.
no, I don't think there's much we can say about it at that
No,
point in time,
but
but,
just as far as what I
right,
see and like and think,
right.
hopefully, my views might hopefully line up with, make you
Yeah.
feel better about what I'd like to see it lining up with.
Actually, I'd like to see it cover the whole thing, right, and close it. I mean, if that
Should
would,
be simple enough.
okay, well, we're going back to the standard review, so we've hit standard number 2. So and Scott's report talks about the vegetation that, you know, Mr. Hersha just talked about. And these also recommended a 6-foot tall masonry wall, but, you know, for me, the wall's important, but it's the screening, so, you know, the damaged vehicles are not visible from the road. I think that's one of the key things. So the third standard review, the proposed SUP will be compatible with the comprehensive plan. If it's compatible, it favors granting the special use. Now, this is back what Scott was talking about earlier. This is where we have some conflict, because right now we have one part of the master plan says in future use is actually industrial, and then the it's currently classified as mixed use. So there's a conflict there. We'll have to take care of that. But has everyone had a chance to read this in detail? This highlighted paragraph here. You know, as I look at it though, we also already have an automotive testing facility in the area. Right. So it's as I look at it, I'm thinking, well, I believe this classification came out after the ATS went in, so it's kind of, I guess I'd say they're grandfathered, but that also creates somewhat of a discrepancy for us. Number 3. So I don't know, Tom, for me, it's from a compatibility, what do you think? Yeah. All right. Okay. Gordon?
I'm leaning toward that it'll fit as well. Especially with the master plan for future
Right.
industrial.
Sandy? Leo?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. All right, let's move on to standard, number 4.
Can I remind all the PC members to just talk into the microphones? Because us at home can't hear you. Thanks.
Yeah, Sandy, you gotta turn your microphone on.
Well, I usually have an outdoor voice, so you should be able to hear me even without this.
Okay. Item number 4, the proposed special use SUP will be serviced adequately by essential public facilities and services such as highway, streets, police and fire protection, drainage ways and structure, refuse disposal, or the persons or agencies responsible for the establishment of the proposed use shall be able to provide adequately any such service. It will be adequately served and it favors granting the SUP. Basically Scott's notes, this is the subject site will take access off hole 12, will be on well and septic, still touched by the state police, Chelsea Fire Authority. Prior to approval, final site plan or building permit approval, the applicant will have to have the project reviewed and approved by the Washtenaw County Health Road Commission, Health Department, Fire Authority, the Township Engineering Consultants review the site plan for compliance with the drainage regulations. Zoning Department will review the site plan for compliance with the zoning regulations. Scott, with the water tower proximity there and with the potential for leaking automotive fluids, was there another state agency that would be a part of this approval process to protect the wellhead?
I don't have any knowledge of that. We could talk to our engineering consultant and bring that up to them and have them see if they know of anybody, like if the EPA or if Eagle or if anybody does that type of review for these tow yards. I'm guessing they don't. But we could look into that more once the site plan review comes forward.
Okay. Have you ever seen a situation where if we said as
Or
part
you
of-
could,
yeah, if you're, go ahead.
or you could require the applicant to look into that also and then submit to us a document stating what agencies are required, and then we could send that to our consultants to limit the amount of money that our consultants will charge for this review. All the review that comes from the consultants will be charged through to the applicant anyway, but they might want, I think their engineering person is from our engineering person also. So our same department or same office, different department.
Is that a conflict of interest?
According to people in the office, you guys have done this in the past with Midwest Consulting. So I don't know. We can check into that also at site plan review stage. And if it is, then either we would need to find a different engineer to review it, or they would have to find a different engineer too.
Oh, okay.
But
And then
I think think what you have done in the past on these is you made some sort of statement. That they have the same engineer and that the engineer is coming from a different department and therefore there's not a conflict of interest. But that's just from what I've heard in the past. I have only been here since November. You haven't had any of these types of projects yet.
Right.
If I may. Can I make a comment?
You gonna do a conflict of interest comment?
So that actually came up because we've been having conversations on this project since last year. And that did come up, that was identified. And at the time, Carol and Kathleen had kind of coordinated on that to have the board review that potential for conflict of interest. And it was found that, for this project that, because as Scott had mentioned, we have different departments in our office and there was that separation and I have correspondence that confirms that I can share.
Scott, have you seen that correspondence?
I have not seen that correspondence, but you might want to ask, is that Ted that's talking or
Yes.
yeah. Was that from this project or the previous because you guys did a previous tow yard. I'm guessing you guys were still the engineers on that tow yard, and our Midwest Consulting was probably reviewing that tow yard also, right?
We did not do the first one that was proposing a rezoning. We picked up this project with the special exception use, and that I think I did forward the email. It might have got locked up, and I can forward it again to anyone that needs to see it. But
yeah, we'll just put it in the site plan review packet, and it sounds like you've already gone to the board on this project. So Sandy, do you remember this coming to the board?
Yes.
Excellent. So I would ask Sandy on this one.
Okay. Scott, one other question while we're just throwing have you ever seen anyone put a request in to do wellhead monitoring for automotive fluids in the well? Because they're gonna have a well at their location, right?
I have not seen that.
there's water main across the road, across US 12.
Right.
So we would be taking our water service, tapping that water main. For wastewater, we would be.
No, it says right here to be on well and septic.
We're on septic, but there's water main across the street that our plans show that we would.
I'm looking at a point here, and I don't know if this may be a typo.
Yeah, I might have been wrong. I just figured they were on well and septic because I didn't know they were going to go onto our well. So is there a reason they're not going onto our septic? Does our septic not go in front of their building there?
Right. There's no sanitary sewer, but there is water main.
Must be pretty. I mean, I don't know where our sewer goes, but it seems like it should be over there somewhere.
So the question would be is for monitoring for automotive related spillage, right? Would monitoring well for looking for hazardous materials?
I have not seen that on something of this size. I've seen it on like large junkyards and things like that. We could always bring that up to our land use or our attorney and see if he thinks it's a valid condition to put in.
All right.
I will also mention that the township follows the County Water Resource Commissioner's Office rules and regulations for stormwater management. And as part of that, we will have water quality treatment units that treat the runoff before it enters the detention system.
Right, that's the runoff. This is for vehicles, right? They're outside and there's potential for heavy metals and fluids to be washed, right?
Sure.
So need some, at least I personally would need some comfort on how that would be monitored.
Sure.
I think that's pretty critical, particularly with the water tower just down the road, right? I mean, we can't afford to have that getting damaged, or I should say Midwest Engineering can't afford it, right? Okay. So that was number 4. Tom, your thoughts on that one? I mean, I think if we do go forward, I think we got a lot of points we need. Okay, okay, Courtney,
I agree.
okay. Leah, Sandy. Okay, number 5, the proposed SUP will not be detrimental, hazardous, or disturbing to the existing or future neighbors, uses, persons, or property, or the public welfare. It's not detrimental, that favors granting the special use permit. As analysis under and with the suggested conditions stated in 2 and page 4 and 5, proposed use will not be detrimental, hazardous, or disturbing to existing or future neighborhood uses, persons, or properties, or the public welfare. I don't see any issue with that one.
No. Fine with it.
All right. Item number 6, the proposed special use will not create additional requirements, public costs for public facilities and services that will be detrimental to the economic welfare of the community. If it will not create additional requirements, that favors granting the special use. The proposed vehicle tour use will be a private use on private properties, will be required to hook up to all required public utility services provided, required to pay taxes by the township. Goes on to say it does not appear that the proposed use would create additional requirements at public costs for public facilities and services that will be detrimental to the economic welfare of the community.
Mike, I think this one would also trigger your wellhead type stuff on the water. So you would want to, if you are going to propose a condition, you would want to attach it to this standard also.
So that'd be 6 and 4.
Correct.
Okay, thanks, Scott. Item number 7, the proposed special use must comply with all applicable chapters, state and federal statutes, regulations, and laws. If it complies, then it favors granting the special use. Proposed vehicle tow yard use will be required to comply with all state and federal statutes regarding this use if there are any. Site plan review will be required as a condition of the SUP approval. If site plan is approved, the zoning certificate of compliance will need to be approved by the Sylvan Township and Building Department. Approval through the Chelsea Area Construction Agency will be required for the use. So this is not saying, that I don't see any key issues there. Scott, I think that as you're following on, I think that takes us through the standards of review. So, Tom, overall, before we talk about motions, is this something that you think is appropriate for what we've got going out there?
Yes, I do. If we could meet number 6, number 4 with those monitoring. And
then the visual too, right? Totally enclosed, nothing visible from the road.
Yep.
All right. Courtney?
I concur.
Courtney concurs. Leah?
I agree with.
Leah? Okay. Andy?
Yes.
Andy agrees also. Okay, so we have some general agreement about moving forward with a approval motion. But I think there's probably
Yeah, so you're going to want to list out what standards you want to put in to this motion. I heard something about so what you would want to say is prior to approval of the site plan, the applicant will work with the township attorney on discussion of wellhead monitoring for any contaminations on the site and that kind. So you're looking to put in some additional conditions. So there are a few things you could do. You could approve the project tonight with a list of conditions, or you could continue the project with your recommendations and have the applicant start working on filling out that information. You might want to ask the applicant also what their preference would be, because they might want to look into these items before you make them conditions of approval.
Reasonable.
Okay, no,
Right.
that's, so. I think they're in discussion right now,
All right.
so. Go ahead, Tom. No. Go ahead.
Sorry about that.
Oh, that's all right. No.
So, where it sounded like this was going was, you know, tying conditions to the approval, if that's the direction it's going. And sorry, I didn't hear exactly what Scott had mentioned. If it was, our discussion was whether the approval was going to be tied to a commitment for monitoring, or if it was to research it further, or just trying to understand that.
I think will be from my perspective, a commitment to some sort of monitoring, but we need to figure out what is the right type of monitoring, right? I don't think we've got a clear picture at this point in time, and I think what Scott was pointing out, there probably needs to be more discussion around that.
So that was kind of our discussion and suggestion that maybe with that said, it's more appropriate to request it to be tabled so we can kind of research that a little bit more and understand what that looks like.
Yeah, I mean, Scott, what do you think of that?
I agree. I think that's a good way to do it. And it's just so it makes it cleaner.
Right.
So that there's not a whole bunch of like weird conditions on the projects for like 10 years down the way to have a staff member figure out what the heck was happening.
Right.
So yeah, if the applicant is up for the tabling, I would suggest tabling it, and then we can work on all those items with Ted.
Okay. No, I mean, that sounds reasonable. I guess gives us time to understand what's actually out there too.
And if it's feasible to do too.
Yeah, well, for me, it's it's the water tower. You got to protect that.
I understand, but
That's the,
he has to make a decision. Is it feasible to do all this too? To monitor it and stuff. So I can't speak for him. I'm just,
I know you can
There's a lot
monitor
of-
wells, right? You drill a hole and you monitor it, but
well, who's gonna be in charge of it? When is it gonna be done? This all probably needs to be worked out.
yeah, so my thought, would there be annual type of reviews, and it'd probably go through the county health department. Those would be the types of, kind of normal. You check in to make sure nothing's happening, right?
Yeah, I think staff can work with the applicant on some sort of plan to, the applicant will review
Right.
what's out there and then submit it to us. We'll submit it to our township engineering, and then also our attorney.
Okay.
And we'll look into it at that point to try to cut down on the costs of review.
Okay, no, that's fair. I think that makes sense. So do we need to have a motion to table this?
Move.
Motion by Tom to table. I have to make sure I get the right name on this. The SEC 330-554 supplemental review for the tow yard, and supported by Sandy. All in favor, say aye. Aye. So the motion were tabled for now, and we'll look forward to seeing you and sometime in the near future. I imagine this is probably not next month, but maybe the month after, or it's hard.
That was going to be my question, is if it's tabled to a date certain, or
I'll let you work with Scott and see what
Okay.
makes the most sense.
Yeah, I think that
I
makes
don't
sense.
wanna box you into it.
Yep.
Yeah, so what we'll do is we'll table it to the next meeting, and then because we don't want to just table it to 2 meetings from now, just in case you get that stuff to us. So, and then we can continue it again to the next meeting, just so that it comes up as unfinished business on the meeting until we figured out the information. That way you don't have to renotice the public hearing.
Yeah, no, that's
Sounds good.
sound good.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Now. Okay, now the next item on the agenda tonight is a public hearing for a special use events permit, SCP 24-001 at 20390 M52 Robin Hills Farms for a fireworks event that will feature games and activities for kids as well as concessions, live music, and fireworks. Setup and cleanup of the event will proceed and follow the event. Okay. Are you from Robin Hills? And would you like to make a presentation?
Hello, my name's Adam Kofsky. I'm here representing Robin Hills Farm. We submitted an application for an event on June 29th for this year. And you can see it on the agenda that it's going to feature games and activities for kids, as well as live music and fireworks. So we submitted the application. As part of that process, we're required to submit things like traffic safety plans, lighting plans. You know, we had to get the approval through CAFA, the fire authorities, MDOT, and the state police in Michigan. So a little bit about the event. You know, it's taking place on a Friday. The fireworks itself really is I would say complementary to the event overall. You know, the main thrust of the event, we're working together with the Rotary Club of Chelsea to raise money for Chelsea scholarships. So it's going to be a fundraiser. In addition to that, I mean, the main purpose is to highlight and showcase the agricultural tourism activities that take place on the property. And I apologize that this didn't make it into the original report that Scott shared with you, but I'm going to just give you folks an overview of some of those agricultural tourism activities that will be taking place during the event. I've got a printout to share with the commission. I can do that now or afterwards. It's up to you if you want to read along with me.
Adam, if that's the one that you emailed me, they have that at the dais.
Okay, great. I just wanted to provide a little more information. It looks like that. It's a timeline actually of the activities that are going to be taking place at the barn. Well, I'll just get here. I've got a copy I can just share with you. So the framework of the event works like this. You know, we're gonna hopefully have a fireworks display at the end of the night. You know, by advertising for that, the idea is it's going to draw folks onto the property so they can see all the great agricultural tourism activities that are taking place. So throughout the day, starting at 4 o'clock and going until about 7:30, we've got a detailed list of activities. But essentially what we're doing is at our property, we've got a facility called the Pasture Barn. This facility is one part classroom space. You know, at Robin Hills, we've got some older breeds from the UK. We've got Cheviot sheep, we've got Shetland sheep, and these are more specifically designed to be raised on pasture. We think that's important to know. Some folks would say that the meat of those animals actually is a healthier product at the end of the day because they're not grain fed and raised all close together. They've got green grass and blue skies. And so during the event, there'll be a lecture on that, and there will also be an opportunity for the visitors of the event to interact with the animals. After that, there will be a break so that folks can enjoy concessions and just general games and activities throughout the day. Then again, at 5, we'll have a presentation about the work we've been doing at our restaurant, which is called The Nest. It's a farm-to-table restaurant here in Sylvan Township. It's just right down the road. And we just want to highlight that all of the ingredients that we're using in the restaurant, we're focused on sourcing local. All the beef, for example, comes from a family farm over in Zeeland. It's like an hour west of Lansing. So all the beef for all of our burger patties, all of our steaks, all comes from Michigan, produce, et cetera. And so highlighting that, I mean, the benefits for that is that you know where your food comes from. I mean, the farmer who owns the property comes routinely to the restaurant, which is pretty cool. It's not like having a Cisco rep, you know, it's like the owner, he raises the animals himself. And that's cool. It minimizes the carbon footprint. I mean, the animals travel a shorter distance to get here. So we think that's all important. We want to promote that agricultural tourism for the folks who've never been out to the property. We want to let them know we've got a year-round restaurant. We're open all year. for dinner and brunch. The next presentation, I think this one's going to be the most fun. Hands-on mushroom logs. So agriculture, when people think of farming, they think of just flat tillable land, corn, beans, that type of thing. What's really cool about our approach to farming is that we found that you can take advantage of non-traditional landscapes as well. So out on our property, there's a lot of undulation. We've got a creek with a ravine leading down to it. It's all wooded, and that's a place you would look at and never think that you could farm there. But what we've noticed is the mushrooms grow really well in that type of environment because it's moist, it's dark. So we're going to have a mushroom log workshop. And so what that looks like is taking hardwood logs about 4 feet long. These would be like oak logs, for example, and inoculating them with mushroom spawn. It's a really fun activity, involves actually drilling holes and pounding little dowel rods into a log so that the mushrooms can then colonize those logs, and visitors will have a chance to come back the next year and actually harvest the mushrooms that they were able to put there this time. So we think that's pretty cool, and we're excited to make that a feature of the event. We're going to be partnering with another farm to do that, Full Flower Farm out of Grass Lake. They're going to provide the logs and the mushroom spawn. We're going to end the day with the farm's many ecosystems, which is a conversation about the work we've done to preserve the natural environment and the different wildlife habitats that are on the farm. So we've got ponds, we've got trails, ton of turtles, ton of snakes, a lot of aquatic birds because of the ponds, of course, a ton of deer. But more importantly than that, just the place where the property is situated, we're right in the Huron River watershed, which is really neat. And we feel, we're obligated because of our environmental proximity to that we need to be good stewards of the land. So we keep the space open. We're not proposing to build anything new. We're just hosting an event that's supposed to highlight the agricultural tourism activities that are going on. But we definitely want to use fireworks to get people out there. So we're coming to you for that permission, and we welcome any questions about the event. So. Not all at once. Yeah, so we don't do cattle, we just do sheep. And at the moment, it's between 50 and 60. There's a handful of goats out there too. Yeah.
It's hard to keep them there. Go ahead. I'm opening public comment, so go ahead.
We're going to charge for parking, but proceeds from the parking are going to go to benefit the work that the Chelsea Rotary Club is doing to raise money for their scholarship efforts. And I have a member of the Rotary Club here tonight to answer any questions about, what exactly we're trying to achieve in terms of the donations for that.
Comment. This is a public hearing, so if you have a statement or question, please state your name first.
Patrick?
Everybody says walk up to the podium. So Patrick Ziske, Sylvan Township resident. Just thinking about the event itself, I think it's a really great event. I'm really happy ever since I moved to Chelsea like 15 years ago, of all the different kinds of things that we have in Chelsea, especially all kinds of festivals and events during the summertime. And this adds another dimension that we don't have yet, but could. It just builds on it. Even the fireworks, I'm really missing the fireworks I know we used to have in Chelsea. And then we had the fireworks down the road on Bush Road, but those are not happening either. That was even a private event, so that even wasn't as good. So I'm just happy that somebody wants to bring back the fireworks. And I haven't been down to Robin Hills Farm myself in over a year probably. And that's only because I've been so busy, but this event might actually bring me out there again. I hope it all works out, and I'm happy to hear that the cafe and MDOT have already been contacted. That's good work to do up front. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comment? Yes, can you state your name?
hope.
Yeah, can you come up to the podium, speak, because, well, if then you probably should.
Scott can't hear you or
We
we,
can't hear you.
yeah.
Right. So. Or no, if you come up to the, because
It's wireless. I could bring it to you. Yeah?
I just wanted to know, so my name is Mary Lordy. When Robin Hills was first proposed, there was a 10 o'clock, I don't know, sound. Scott Cooper could speak to this more than I could, but is that still in play and are the neighbors okay with the fireworks? Because I'm all for fireworks.
So we've got the fireworks starting at 10 o'clock. So you know, that being said, I would look towards what the ordinance says about that. You know, we also want to be able to launch them when it's dark out. So maybe there's a variance that could be, you know, put into place there, but you know, our hope is that we're able to do it properly and have a really good show for everybody who does come out. And even for the folks who don't, you'll probably be able to see it from downtown Chelsea even, you know, so yeah, we're hopeful that we're going to have a great event and we're going to also be monitoring the sound, and this, I believe that's included in the proposal, but so we're required already to be monitoring the decibel levels at the property lines. And we're able to furnish that information upon request, you know, for these events. So I think that being said, we would be in a good spot to provide that.
could you come to the podium and give your name, please?
Matt McKernan, Chelsea Rotary. I'm on the board of the Rotary. So every year the Rotary comes together to provide $7,500 towards Chelsea scholarship funds. What we're hoping this event will do will further that into the trades. So we're looking to do 7,500 towards scholarships and then 7,500 towards trades, whether it's 252, local 190. And this venue with the fireworks attracting people together. I've always wanted the fireworks back in Chelsea. I remember as a kid having them. It just seems like a perfect fit. And as long as the commissioners here will allow us, we would like to again go ahead and take those funds and spread it across the community further.
Any other public comment? Okay, I'm going to close public comment. Scott Pacheco, you have some comments you'd like to make?
Yeah, so I can just address that hours of operation question. So the agricultural commercial / tourism ordinance allows for people with agricultural tourism businesses to apply for special permits, special event permits. And those special event permits would have different standards than the regular use of the property. So that's how the use can go past the 10 o'clock hour. And the reason that it does it, it's only for the one day of the event. And it would be over when the fireworks are over and the people are gone. So it's not a continual item. So obviously with fireworks, they're shot off at night. Another thing I'd just like to state, I wish I would have had Adam's information earlier on how the event was going to be. It would have been a lot easier to write my staff report. I had asked him in an email what the agricultural operations were, but I should have had him dig down further in how the agricultural operations work with this event, which is the entire reason you allow special events these special events is that they support or are complementary to the agricultural and agricultural use of the property, similar to the reason that you would allow an agricultural commercial business, because it's a agricultural use. That being said, the planning commission can also this is an odd project because this is a special event permit for an agricultural commercial / tourism business. So I don't know if we have more than one, yeah, I'm guessing we have more than one agricultural commercial business in the area, but the only people that could use this would be somebody that has a business approved under the agricultural commercial / tourism use. So when the planning commission is going through it, they should look at all of the standards that were written out on page 2 through 8 of the report. Again, you don't have to, or actually, I think 8, 6, 7. It's actually on 7 of the report. You don't have to list them all, but just go through the ones that you want to make a point about. And the fireworks that came up, and the fireworks might not be complementary or accessory to a agricultural use, but like Adam says, it is the driver to bring the people out to the site to do those things that Adam said are going to happen on the site. And I would also hope that if this does get approved, maybe I won't be in town that weekend, but hopefully somebody on our planning commission can go to all those events and make sure and see how this farm is actually working.
And that invitation is extended to everybody else in the room as well.
Okay.
And that's all I have for you guys. The rest is in my staff report.
Yep. Thanks, Scott.
Review it.
So let's go through the Scott's analysis. So I think the first one is probably one of the more critical ones. The site must include an active farm operation as defined in 30.05. It's primarily being used for livestock production. And you're not doing the hoop house is down, the aquaculture's down, you're not growing anything out there other than sheep, correct?
The hoop houses have been converted to sheep shelter. So that allowed us to
But there's
expand.
no plants growing at all. It's just all
Correct. Yep.
sheep.
Yep.
And those sheep are being brought in, they're all winter, or are they just during the summer?
No, they're there year round.
They're year round, okay. So at one point, there was you were gonna plant orchards and there was gonna be a whole lot of different things that went on at Robin Hills, but
Mhm.
now you've turned into, from a ag perspective, it's really just a restaurant, right?
Well, from a-
Primarily in the sheep,
From an ag perspective, we're raising livestock for meat production. So
but that's
the
primarily.
end product is
Okay.
sold for meat.
Okay. So anyways, visiting an agricultural business for the purpose of recreation, education. Did everyone get a chance to read this? So the question really is, does this fireworks show help ag tourism, right? And that's one of the key ones we have to.
What makes me feel
Promote.
good that we're gonna have fireworks again. That's just the only. Are those your sheep or are they somebody else's sheep?
We contract with another farm to actually do the hands-on work that it takes to raise the sheep. But the property is being used for the production of sheep.
But there's somebody else's sheep then.
Correct.
You're basically a landlord then in that regard.
Right. It's a contract relationship.
You're doing the watering and making sure the fences are good and what?
Right. Infrastructure and that type of thing.
And feeding them and whatnot.
The hands-on stuff is by the farmer who owns the sheep.
Must have good fences. If you got goats, you can keep in one.
Well, I mean, how does this fireworks show really do the ag tourism? I mean, for me, a mushroom forest, I mean, that's a stretch, right? I'm just throwing it out for the rest of them,
Yeah,
I mean, this property and it's not really evolved into what it initially was set up to be, right?
but it's was set up to be and what it is two different things.
Right.
But this is what's in front of us now.
Right. No, I understand that.
I just think if everything is handled right, this should go over good.
Yeah.
Because he's gonna have portable lighting where he is. He's gonna have plenty of people. They're gonna shut the lights off, I guess, the portable lights when the fireworks begin. You're gonna turn them back on when they're off. We're not gonna have a dark zone That's another story. But anyways, you're gonna have it safe. You're gonna be more safety wise than we did. And I think maybe, I know this, some people may think this is a stretch, but maybe this will bring the community to get as an outing with the fireworks, because a lot of people will come to the fireworks and watch them and enjoy them, and people will see them and talk about them. You may never know, but when you put them on, people will come, watch them in the facility, outside the facility, wherever, but people are gonna talk about, yes, I seen a fireworks show and everything was great. It's,
Yeah, and then they'll come back and have dinner, but there's really no ag tourism going on there. That's my point.
exactly, but I'm hoping we're working towards more of a ag tourism. I'm speaking for you, this is what I'm hoping, that we're gonna work towards a more,
Towards what they're zoned for, based on the.
I mean, right,
ordinance.
it's not really operating within its zoning framework at this
Yeah.
point, right?
yeah.
I mean, that's my opinion.
Someday we're gonna have to have a discussion about this. But I'm hoping, I'm more in it for
Fireworks.
the fireworks thing, bringing the people together. And that's what the people are gonna do, is come for the fireworks. The other things they have here with the sheep and stuff, it's gonna be very educational for some kids because they don't have an opportunity to see a lamb or anything like this. And I know where you're coming from, Mike. I agree with you 100%, but I'm hoping we'll have conversation in the near future
Oh, we can talk
to where we're
attorneys too. right?
going to the direction where we need a little closer to ag versus this, but I actually believe if they can pull this off right, I think it'd be a very good asset to the community, is where I'm going with this. And if they're doing, because even Chelsea had their own fireworks back when they had the Dairy Queen across from the Wolverine, the little small block building. I'm dating myself. And then Gilman's was it Gilman's? And Chelsea State Bank did it for a year or two at the fairgrounds. And then out there on Bush Road, they had it for about 20 years. And that brought a lot of people together. And it was very good to see the fireworks. And I think we're lacking that. If this could go, I would like to see it.
But how does it promote ag tourism? That's, you're gonna go out and look at sheep. I mean, there's really nothing else going on out there, right?
Yes,
All right,
but I've tried
I know.
to work around it, because this is the hand we're dealt with. And the only thing I can do is hopefully we can have a discussion
But it
after
turned-
this.
Yeah, but it's turned into basically an event center, right?
I-
In my
I
opinion.
understand this, but
Courtney? your
I'm just
thought?
telling you my own personal.
Yeah, no, I understand. I just,
So, in regard to the events, I like that it's supporting Rotary. I like that it's supporting both college and trades, super important. As a farmer and a actual sheep producer, I support that we need everybody to understand where food comes from. I don't necessarily like the denigrating conventional ag. I work for an association that represents like the entire nation's agricultural production. So yeah, that's kind of where I struggle, but that's not about this event. Yes, I want everybody to learn about ag. I also want everybody that's in it to survive, and that's not that easy these days. So in general, I don't see an issue with the event, but to your point, we do need to revisit on the zoning and overall situation.
Leah, where are you at?
I think we do need an event like this. You're talking about years ago, the Legion at Kavanaugh Lake used to have fireworks out on the island until it got too congested, but
But I think the point part is, so
But-
yeah,
I
is
think
this
we've
within
got
the
that.
ordinance, right? Is this really
Right.
supporting ag
No.
tourism? It isn't.
like Like Tom said, I think we've got to sit down and have a little talk on this tourism or the.
The
Yeah.
uses,
Mhm.
what's going on there. Sandy, your thoughts?
We're here tonight to look at the proposal that Adam brought, which I think looks great. They have a lot of interesting things planned for the evening. I too remember taking my kids in the 70s to the fairgrounds to look at the fireworks. But I also agree with Tom and everybody else who has said this, that we need to get together and revisit what governs your operation, because I understand that we took the ordinance, I think, in Dexter for Cornman Farms for Zingerman's.
Yeah, we worked almost a year and a half on.
Yeah.
putting that
So
together.
we need to look at what they're doing and what you're doing and how you can bring yourself closer to what their model is, because that is the model that we used.
And not necessarily. But
I wasn't here, so I don't know exactly.
yeah, no, it was a blend of a lot of different things. But in any
Yes.
case, the question is, what does it look like?
But the
I think
event,
we agree on that.
which is before us, I'm certainly support.
Okay. Well, then it sounds like there'll be support for the event, so we need to go through the rest of the items and then the agenda. So number 2, any outdoor dining and entertainment area shall meet required buffer area. as defined in subsection D3. Looks like that is 200-foot buffer shall be provided on all sides of the property and is adjacent to a natural feature such as a wetland lake or subject to planning review and approval. No, the are within 200 feet of the property lines. This is back to the lighting Tom talked about. No permanent structures are proposed for the fireworks festival, special event. Temporary lighting porta potties will be brought in to the site for the event. How many porta potties you bringing in, Adam?
It's listed there in the document. I think it's around 20.
Is it 20? Okay. And the-
Enough over 800 people.
I think the document says 8, and then they have 8 inside the existing building and 8 in the other building. So a total of 24 total bathroom facilities.
And a lot of that is, you want to have them in different locations. You don't necessarily just want to throw a bunch of toilets all in one area. So they're spread throughout the property for convenience.
So with 500 people, is that enough potties?
That's enough potties according to our potty supplier. Yeah.
You're a potty man?
Yeah, we got a potty guy.
Okay. All right. Now, the parking, you're gonna be moving, it looks like you've got two lots here. The overload parking is access to the farm. Scott, did you see any issues with the parking? The
I
engineer,
detailed the parking. They have adequate, what appears to be adequate amount of parking. And then Adam says if the parking does get filled up, they had 487 total spots, is what was proposed as part of the
okay.
project.
Hmm,
And what in Adam's parking management plan, it said they will have 12 people or something like that with walkie-talkies that will be letting people know when certain parking lots are full. And then once the parking lots are full, people will be turned away from the site. I think they're projecting 400 cars will be there, and they have 487 parking spots.
all right. And this condition here, did you put that in your recommendation? I'm not sure you did or not.
Yeah, so the condition under the engineering, is that the one you're looking at, E?
Yep.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if I did either. I said I didn't have the engineers or the fire district comments until the last day that this packet went out.
Okay.
So I changed that section, but I think I did not change the conditions. I do
Yeah.
believe there is a condition that says I'll all
Yeah.
required conditions of the engineer will be followed. But the other ones, like the applicant shall submit a letter or email from MDOT that provides MDOT review and approval for the proposed event.
That made it.
I talked to MDOT on that one, and they said no approval will be required.
That's not required.
But I received an email also, so you could leave that one in. I already got the email. We received the letter from the Chelsea Area Fire District. I believe it's attached to your report also, and we received the engineering letter, which is attached to your report also,
Okay.
as Exhibit C and Exhibit D.
So the engineering review, is there a number of conditions I take it that came out of that?
Yeah, those 4 conditions that are on page 5 of the staff report, and then their review is actually the last page of your report.
No, I'm just looking at it.
So those were the 4 standards that they are requiring.
Okay. So point
Yep.
number 4 covers all those other points, correct? I just want to make sure we're covered on that.
Yeah, so basically that prior to the required conditions of the engineer will have to be followed, so.
Right. I mean, that's a sweeping.
Yep.
statement, right? Okay. I just want to make sure.
But they know what they are. They're attached to the reports, so I wouldn't list all 4 of those out. I already listed them on page
Yeah.
5 of the report. and
No,
then
I
referred to
understand.
them.
I just want to make sure. It's
Yeah.
covered.
Yep. Bye.
All right. And then the number 5, the traffic plan. I guess MDOT didn't need anything. Is there anything in these other conditions, Scott, that you think that jump up?
I don't think so. I think pretty much, I went through each these
Yeah.
are not so much standards as requirements. I went through each one and they met most everything. I had a condition on directing the lights away from the house at 6955 Werkner that
Yep.
are in the parking lot. I had a condition based on the location of the 8 porta potties that they're bringing in. They
Yep.
just need to be 200 feet from the nearest property line. Those are to meet direct requirements of the special event permits. So
All right. So
but everything else, it looks like they met everything except for the question on the ag tourism. And I think you guys talked about that enough at tonight's meeting.
yeah, so on number 6, the decibel or J, for the decibel levels, Adams, what's your recording device?
So, we've got a program that we use during all the events. It's mobile, it's an app on your phone. Called Decibel X, I believe. It's the same program that, I believe he was like an interim supervisor. I think his name was Kurt. Either way, he came out after, an event, or during an event rather, to record the sound decibels. He was from the township and he used the exact same app. So we figured if it works for you guys, it works for us.
Yeah, I'd like to see evidence post though of the recording of the decibels, just so
Okay.
we got a record. Is that possible?
Yeah, we can provide that after the event, no problem.
Just has to be a report. that
Yep.
Shows highs and lows, and it's more just for neighbors that are in the vicinity if they come back and question us.
Absolutely. Yeah, we want to have that for the future.
Yeah,
So,
And how many places are you gonna be measuring the sound data?
it's going to be consistent. It's really a matter of at the property line. So we have it's another third party, but we're hiring a company to go around the property line in a continuous fashion and just be collecting that data. Because we really want to make sure that we're complying with all of the ordinance. So we'll have that available to furnish you after the event.
Okay, and then you can send that to Scott
Absolutely.
afterwards, maybe within a week, and he can report back.
Sure.
And then I think the one out here, the zoning administrator has the right to revoke the permit. So you're well aware of that one, right? I think Scott is too, so. I didn't see any other high-level review standards that we need to go through. Anyone else have any points they'd like to make on it?
A question.
Sure.
I shouldn't even bring this question up. What happens if it rains that day?
What was our backup, Matt?
Do we have a backup date or something like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
They let you go 2 days out, so fortunately, the contract with the fireworks, Wolverine, who does the Manchester fireworks. So, we're looking at either Monday or Sunday, they have both locked up.
Just asking.
No, great.
And once you get past that roundabout, you're gonna have some lights there so people can see getting through there.
Correct. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, we'll have lighting available so that, I mean, safety is our top priority. You got a lot of people moving around. It's going to be a family event, a lot of, potential for kids running around. So safety is top of our list.
Very good.
Mike, can somebody restate what the backup plan is for the record so that if something does happen, that you guys memorialize that there is another date maybe? Or is that what they said? I couldn't hear them at all.
No, that's the first I heard it too, right?
Yeah.
Can you repeat the date again?
It would be the day after.
The
Monday.
day after is what
It'd be
date?
Sunday.
So the 30th of June.
No,
June.
that worked. I mean, that's, yeah. So I would just put that into your approval. If you do approve this project, just put that into their approval that there's a backup date of the next day.
Okay. I think the hours of operation are spelled out clearly. Talk about amplification lighting. I know can you just high level what the lighting plan is? Cause I know the deer thing was not too good. The buck pole.
Sure. Yeah. So we're bringing in temporary lighting. You can rent them. They're like a tow behind style lighting. It's got a mast with, essentially floodlights on it. We were also concerned that maybe there would be generator noise from these. So the rental company that we're going with actually has a solar unit available. So it'll just be,
Is there like a lighting engineer's guiding it? So we're not at the risk of falling in it?
it's going to be well lit. I mean, it's an outdoor environment. There's always going to
Right.
be some level of risk of falling, but as much as possible, we want to light the areas that people will be.
They did show the location of the lighting on their plan, just for your knowledge, Mike, if you have the plan in front of you. Yep.
I just even with the plan though, from past experiences, the lighting was a bit challenging is probably a good way of putting it.
Yeah, that's what we're supplementing the lighting. So.
All right. All right. Tom, is there anything else you want to talk about on this subject?
Just hope everything goes smoothly.
Courtney, anything else you want to add?
No additional comments.
Sandy?
Nothing additional.
Nothing additional. Lil?
The overflow parking. Did we hit on that?
Yeah. Yeah.
I must have missed it.
Scott, from a process perspective, we missed anything? Just from a legality perspective?
I don't know. Sandy, what were you concerned with the overflow parking? It is not on a paved surface, but the engineers have reviewed it. So, and let's see, did they say anything in their conditions about it? The applicant shall surface develops if erosion of the parking surface develops during the event as defined in the certified stormwater operation manual, parking in the overflow area should stop. So if it starts raining or something, and it gets basically what she's saying, or he's saying, this is from Adam, is that if it starts raining and it gets muddy out there and they have trouble getting the cars in and out, they should stop using it for parking. It's a little sort of common sense, but just so you don't have a bunch of stuck people out there.
Manchester Towing, what's up?
Sure, go ahead.
We are actually working with The Wave as well. So if we do get to a point where that is a concern, we will be working with a couple of their buses to bring people in and out safely. So.
Are you gonna be keeping a total head count for this event?
Yeah.
Can you, one of the conditions I'd like to add is post, like a head count reported back to Scott Pacheco along with the
We-
adjustment report?
We can, I mean, reasonably speaking, we're gonna be able to count all the cars.
Yeah, no, I'm sure that's.
The cars would be fine.
Yeah.
How many people, is that's what you're looking for instead of that?
I'm just trying to get an idea of how many people actually make it out there, because if going down the road, if these things continue, you know, is this what we have in the ordinance actually effective or not, right? That's the intent of it.
Well, and Mike, if we do have problems this year, they need to come back the next year to pull the permit again. So you could always address those comments at those problems at that time, or not propose have the. I think that's why Adam is so diligent in his answers to these questions, because they probably want to have this type of event, you know, on 4th of July weekend moving forward.
Okay, thanks for those comments, Scott. So we have to have a motion here, and a planning commission motion to approve with conditions the proposed special event permit to allow the fireworks festival at Robin Hills Farm 20390 M52, because I discussed it at tonight's planning commission meeting and as presented in the planning commission staff report. Proposed event would meet the requirements for special use event permit under chapter 30, section, I think that's 6, section, article 6, section 30-808, agricultural, commercial, tourism, business, item E. Condition 1, the applicant shall submit a letter or email from MDOT that provides MDOT review and approval of the proposed event prior to June 22nd, 2024. The applicant shall submit a letter or email from the state and local police departments that provide the review and approval of the proposed event prior to June 22nd, 2024. Excuse me. The applicant shall provide a letter or email from the Chelsea Fire Authority that provides the review and approval of the proposed event prior to June 22nd, 2024. All required conditions of the township engineer will be followed. The porta potty shall be located a minimum of 200 feet from the nearest property line. The new one here, Doug, the applicant will provide a decimal reading report at the property lines at intervals during the fireworks and event show, and report it back to the township zoning inspector, along with the head count forecast based upon the number of vehicles that were parked. Did you get all that? Okay. Is there any other conditions that we would need to add to that? No? Okay. So let's do a roll call vote. Tom? Yelly?
Yes.
Courtney's yay?
Yes.
Andy's yay? Leah? Yay. Chair is a no. So the motion passes 4-1. Okay.
Okay, thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Now, it's been a long night tonight. So you see in your packet, there's a review of the Lima Township Master Plan. What's going on?
Hopefully you guys all reviewed the long master plan that they have up on their website there that they gave you.
Yep.
But if you did not, I did do spot checks. It's very hard to figure out what actually changed from the 2016 master plan.
Right.
Looking through this, so I did look at the future land use designation mainly, as that's what impacts us the most. And they didn't really change much of the wording. Maybe a grammatical error or something like that here or there, but they did change the map a little bit. Did you guys have a chance to see the difference between the two maps?
No.
It was a small change, right?
Yeah, so yeah, what they did is they did some decreases of the future land use against our border. So they used to have at the let's see, northeast corner of our border where we touch the middle or the area of their township right on 94. They changed the future land use designation to agricultural. And prior to that, there was a research office portion, probably because it's on I-94. And then there was I think rural residential section. But with that change, they've also looked at the intersection of 94 and old US 12, and they've also decreased some of the land uses in that area. And then it looks like they increased some of the land uses along Freer Road by Chelsea. So, but the one that would impact us is they've downgraded their property that is adjacent to our township. So it's probably more in compliance with what we have in that location.
All right, Scott, well, thanks. Appreciate that.
Yep.
So I'm gonna move on to the next item on the agenda.
I would guess that means that the planning commission has no comment on their future or their master plan update.
I don't at this point.
Yeah, that was what
No.
the letter from Paul Montagno, who is their planning consultant, was asking for. Is it's in their 63-day distribution period, and they look for comments from the surrounding communities. Most of the time you don't receive comments, or you receive a comment that says we don't have any comments.
Okay. Okay, thanks, Scott. So then the next to last is the comments, concerns of planning commission members. Sandy, I think one of the things, if we go back up to the board, we probably need to get some discussion around what's the future with Robin Hills look like. And we probably need to kick that off.
Definitely think we need to do that.
Right.
We talked about it last fall.
Talked about.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Exactly.
We think we need to.
And I
schedule
thought
it.
we were gonna try to Carol was gonna try to get him in, and then we had a management change and
Right.
Time to start over.
Yeah, well, I think it's be good, because I mean, if it's gonna be a commercial business, then we need to look at it regulating differently, right? I mean, it's just as opposed to, twisting our arms around, right?
Yeah.
In any case, so if you can take that back to the board, maybe we can figure out something to. And I think Kathleen also put a note out there. There's some meetings about I haven't had a chance to look at it yet for the plan review.
It'd be for
Something
the
to do with the plan review for the planning or the master plan update.
Yeah, she sent a doodle poll
A
to see
doodle
what
poll, yeah.
dates you're available for
Yeah.
the master plan review.
I think maybe the 24th was set, or everyone could come on the 24th, the last I seen.
That's what I saw too, but I don't think everybody had been on yet.
I haven't been on it
Haven't
yet.
been on.
Oh,
No, I'm just gonna remind you to go out there and look at it, because I just remembered I haven't done it yet.
oh, yeah.
So Mike, what was it you wanted me to take back to the board?
So understanding, what is it we want to do with Robin Hills long-term from a zoning perspective, right? Because they're operating under an ag tourism, but they really morphed into a commercial enterprise. And do we go look at changing the zoning to be more commercial, less ag tourism, then look at running it?
they should come ask them what they would like to do. They want to change their practice a little bit so they can maybe
Right.
fall into it better, or
Right.
we need to.
Yeah, we can come up with various ideas and work with them to come up with something that actually makes the definition fit with whatever their business is, whether it's they change to a different zoning or
Well, this other thing we have to be conscious of is, if they go bankrupt, right, and we change the zoning around and somebody else moves in there, the zoning goes with the land, so
Right.
we
Right.
have to really think careful about.
Having a conversation with them where we can, but so you have the leadership come in here,
All right.
and we talk to them about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think it's, but I think we need to have a township opinion as to where we want to go with it too, right?
Basically, their decision, which way they want to go, so we can adjust to what they want to do. If they do not want to do any more ag, we're only forced to change the zoning on it.
Well, I mean, no, it's really what does the township want, right? I mean, we set the rules and how they operate, and then it's changed, it's morphed over the years, right?
Correct.
Away from what it was supposed to. but
Right.
Do they want to come back on track?
No, I understand, dude. And so I think that's kind of a township board decision is in the community in general, is that what do we want to see out there, right? Is ag tourism
Yeah.
that type of thing.
And
But-
we are revising our master plan currently, so it's a good time to bring that up.
Right.
Obviously, Mike brings up a really good point. This is a very large property. If you were to change it to one of our current commercial districts, you might get a Briarwood Mall there. Because it's over 100 acres. So I would suggest that if we're going to change it to more commercial, in that there be a new zoning district created, sort of like you did for the Chrysler Proving Grounds, so that or even change your ag tourism ordinance to allow more commercial uses on agricultural properties.
Yeah.
With some sort of agriculture, but that can all be discussed through the process once you determine how do you want to move forward with this project. Do you want, and how do the applicants that are out there want to move forward with the project?
Yep, no, I agree. So anyways, we'll take it back to the township board and figure out how to have this conversation, right? So that's all I had. Tom, anything else you want to add today? No, I'm glad you're walking again. Courtney,
I don't have anything else.
Leah,
Not tonight.
Sandy, nothing to add. All right, so I need a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Tom, second by Leah. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike, for doing such a good job.
Yeah, thank you.